All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's February the 11th, 2018, and I'm going to read an article tonight on David Hinkson. I'm trying to educate myself about him. I believe it was the Gideon's Army conference call where someone brought up his name, and so I wrote him a letter. That's his address on the screen. You can write him a letter if you feel like it. And I found this U.S. Observer article on David Hinkson. Keep in mind that I make no claims about the legitimacy of U.S. Observer. But you got to start somewhere when you start reading about a prisoner, and they have written an article on him. And so I'm going to read this article into YouTube, and I'll put the link, and you can read the article yourself. That'll be my first video on David Hinkson. Keep in mind, I've received just tonight 3 Core-Links emails from him, and they're fairly lengthy. So after I read the U.S. Observer article, I'm going to go back and read David Hinkson's writings, which I just received tonight, into YouTube. And this is all part of an effort on my part to educate myself about his case. Somebody informed me that he was worth investigating. So the U.S. Observer article on him says, veteran falsely convicted by a lying judge. Editor's note, the U.S. Observer has a keen interest in this case. Anytime one of our military veterans are falsely and maliciously targeted or prosecuted, we take it personal. One of the things about U.S. Observer articles that I've noticed is they never have a date on it. So you can never tell when any of this stuff was written. I think they do that on purpose. But let's read the article. As such, we are beginning a cursory investigation and ask that anyone with information about any wrongdoings of Judge Richard C. Talman contact us immediately. Also, we are asking anyone with personal information on Representative Bob Goodlatte to please pass it on to us. A good judge doesn't prosecute innocent people, and a good representative doesn't hesitate to hold bad judges accountable. Okay, this is by Pat Shannon, investigative reporter. David Hinkson discovered and manufactured mineral replacement health products that combine with vitamins to rebuild the body's own natural disease-fighting immune system. His God-gifted instincts and talents, not unlike those of Nikola Tesla a century earlier, have allowed him to see the world through a scientific lens as few humans can. So why would the Department of Justice target and jail a man so valuable to his generation? Did Big Pharma fear his success? It wouldn't be the first time. Keep in mind, if you go and look up David Hinkson on BOP.gov, his release date is 2040. He's 61 years old, and he's got a long time to be in prison. So whatever they set him up with, they set him up for a long time. Hinkson enlisted in the U.S. Navy at age 17 during the Vietnam conflict and served honorably as a helicopter mechanic. After his discharge, his pursuit of truth took him on 2 separate missions at once. In addition to developing natural preventatives for the human body, he also took on the dangerous task of exposing the deception of the Internal Revenue Service to the American people via his Las Vegas radio show. Both such pursuits have proven to be fatal to other truth seekers preceding him. A mineral is not a drug, and since David kept the minerals in their pure form, the FDA and Big Pharma could not stop him from selling them, but it was within their power to falsely accuse him of mislabeling his products, a felony. Whether he mislabeled or not wasn't their real motivation. He became a force they could not control. David, like many veterans today, has been persecuted by his own government, a government that he, like other veterans, supported unconditionally when they were in the service. So what happened to the reciprocal support for veterans today? Shocked to learn that he was the target of false accusations in 2002, David could not overcome the stampede of government agencies that worked in tandem with the FDA to ambush and take him down. With the help of a lying judge, a deceiving prosecutor, and a perjuring government witness, the U.S. government, through fraud and deception, managed to stop David's contribution to health. "You lie, and I'll swear to it," is the federal government's mantra. Now, in his 11th year in prison, on a 43-year sentence, David awaits ultimate justice, his release, because he has again asked the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to review his case, but this time for actual innocence rather than some minor technical trial defect like his direct appeal years ago. He languishes in jail, convicted of a crime that he did not commit and, in fact, never happened. Judge Richard C. Tallman, who conducted David's sham trial in 2005 on murder solicitation charges, sentenced the then 49-year-old Hinkson to what amounts to a life sentence, or death by time. This appellate court judge was designated by the Ninth Circuit to handle the trial when district judges withdrew from the case. According to former prosecuting attorney Wesley W. Hoyt, Judge Tallman proceeded with disregard for the Constitution and his sworn oath to uphold the law. He lied from the bench on the record, then converted his own courtroom into a crime scene by suborning perjury, and conducted a secret, illegal, and judicially unethical ex parte meeting with the government star witness, Elvin Joe Swisher, a known pathological liar. Hoyt added, "The trial record shows that this meeting was held to refine the government's plot to convict David of a thought crime that Swisher made up and attributed to Hinkson. The crime was a total figment of Swisher's imagination, who lied to 2 grand juries in 2002 and 2004, and then to the Hinkson jury in 2005. It was not until 2008 that Swisher was convicted and sent to prison for telling these exact same lies to the VA while stealing veterans' benefits. Both Judge Tallman and the prosecutor were aware of Swisher's grand jury perjury, but it is evident that the part of the payoff for putting David Hinkson in prison for life was a free pass, letting Swisher get away with his grand jury lies, i.e. Swisher should have been charged with perjury for lying to the grand juries, but was not. The government's lying star witness, Swisher, fictionalized that David offered to hire him to kill federal officials based on Swisher's so-called reputation as a Korean combat hero. The prosecuting attorneys presented Swisher to the Hinkson jury as the real deal, a Korean veteran, even though Swisher never even set foot in Korea. Swisher's 2008 conviction for perjury, forgery, theft of government property, and stolen valor, the crime of wearing medals he had not earned, came after Hinkson's trial and was based on Swisher's lies to the VA in 2004 as he fraudulently sought medical and disability benefits for war wounds he never sustained. But what about this judge? A federal judge is supposed to be neutral and is required to help the jury find the truth. Instead, Judge Tallman led the jury to believe in Swisher's fantasy of a secret mission to North Korea. In supporting Swisher, Judge Tallman actually became the perpetrator of several crimes committed in his own courtroom, all aimed at silencing David, who dared to challenge the authority of government agencies. In this hoax of a prosecution, the IRS and FBI joined in falsely accusing David of soliciting Swisher to commit unthinkable torture murder of federal officials and their families, a ruse to shock the jury into convicting David, and was a typical form of conflating horror, a technique often used by the government when prosecuting the innocent in similar phony murder-for-hire cases. David Hinkson has recently petitioned the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals for another review of this case, based on actual evidence, actual innocence. As is now clearly shown in Appendix C, the affidavit of Wesley W. Hoyt, filed in the public record of Ninth Circuit Case Number 14-16507. Proof of his innocence begins with the fact that Swisher was hospitalized from a massive heart attack in June of that year and was physically incapacitated. Nonetheless, he testified in July or August of 2002 that he was being solicited for murder by Hinkson in Grangeville, Idaho, at a time when Hinkson's passport with official stamps shows he was actually in Ukraine negotiating the purchase of a factory building to produce his mineral dietary supplements for worldwide distribution. Judge Tallman personally controlled pretrial services which had confiscated David's passport upon his arrest. Thus, Judge Talman had control of the passport and only had to say the word for it to be delivered to the courtroom. A truly neutral judicial official would have done so, but when asked to produce the passport, Judge Talman denied it, saying it will only confuse the jury. Although subsequently requested from the government under the Freedom of Information Act, neither the passport nor a copy thereof was returned, according to Roland C. Hinkson, David's father. Judge Talman could have presented the passport to the jury or allowed David to submit it as part of the exculpatory evidence showing the innocence, but he refused, causing the jury to be deceived rather than just possibly confused. What motivated Judge Talman to prohibit the jury from considering David's passport? Could it have been he desired to placate the Justice Department and thus win its support when eventually seeking higher office? These and other questions are being asked at the Ninth Circuit, which has already broken the law by assigning only a 2-judge panel instead of 3 to summarily deny David's request for review under the actual innocence standard. On direct appeal, the Ninth Circuit could and did potshot David's case, overruling the reversal in the Fletcher-Hugg decision, but now, under the actual innocence doctrine, the court has no choice. It must consider the cumulative effect of all evidence, not just one detail, as in the previous appeal. The doctrine will allow David to finally have his day in court, if the Ninth Circuit follows the law. Anyone railroaded by the government, as David was, who can demonstrate he is truly innocent of a crime, as David now has, is entitled to his day in court at an evidentiary hearing to prove his case. So we are all waiting. When will David have his hearing? David now seeks review by an en banc panel, probably by another 11 judges of the Ninth Circuit, to see if the judiciary will, 1, hold Judge Talman accountable for his crimes and remove him from David's case, 2, allow David an evidentiary hearing, 3, look at the totality of all the evidence, 4, acknowledge David's claims of innocence, and 5, eventually permit David to go back to his family. The issue has been that each time David has applied for review, the case was sent back to the sentencing judge, who is Judge Talman, the one who with a vested interest in covering up his own crimes committed from the bench in David's trial. The only solution, if fairness is to prevail, is to remove Judge Talman from David's case. All that is left in the veteran's David versus Goliath struggle for freedom is the truth. However, federal judges today often make arbitrary rulings, excluding evidence of innocence, as Judge Talman did, because proving innocence does not support the government's program of repressing the outspoken. When a judge will not allow the accused to present his or her evidence of innocence, a wrongful conviction is a certainty. David has begged and pleaded with the Ninth Circuit to look honestly at his full situation. At first, on his direct appeal, he won. The 3-judge Ninth Circuit panel, composed of Judge Fletcher, Hugg, and McCowan, ruled that David had not had a fair trial, and they reversed his conviction. However, over time, the influence of Judge Talman with many other Ninth Circuit judges was so persuasive, it caused the Fletcher-Hugg decision to be overruled in a very close 6-5 vote by the first 11-member en banc panel, with Chief Judge Kozinski changing his vote to favor Hinkson, recognizing that revealing to the jurors all of Swisher's lies about being a decorated veteran would have had a very strong impact on their decision. The first en banc opinion was nothing less than a slap in the face to veterans and meant that the official stance of the Ninth Circuit Court is that military valor is of no significance, an insulting message to veterans as a whole. The above confabulation against David has now changed because Judge Talman has been exposed as a liar, lying for Swisher, as if he was in league with him. In Judge Talman's August 2012 order refusing to withdraw as the judge of David's case, he brashly confessed that he did conduct the unethical ex parte meeting with Swisher during the 2005 trial and stated that the meeting was of no consequence. Yet over time, the significance of that illegal meeting had a profound effect on the outcome of the case, consistent with the ancient Greek maxim, truth is the daughter of time. As the truth has leaked out, even the government had to admit Swisher was lying, which means the prosecutor also lied to the jury. In a country that claims justice under the law, how can a conviction predicated on lies from the judge, prosecutor, and star witness stand. Now the following truths are known about Judge Talman. 1. That he lied on the trial court record, perjury. 2. Enabled Swisher to lie, subornation of perjury. 3. Protected Swisher from cross-examination about lying to the 2002 and 2004 grand juries, judicial bias. And 4. Conducted an ex parte meeting with a witness, Swisher, immediately before he took the stand, showing extreme judicial bias because he obviously helped prepare Swisher for his testimony. The question is, who can hold this out-of-control judge accountable? The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that no man or woman should ever be convicted based on lies. So, is it now time for the law to follow the law and release David Hinkson? In 1993, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it is the job of federal courts to see that federal constitutional errors do not result in the incarceration of innocent person. Instead, Judge Talman created errors to imprison the innocent. The problem is that Judge Talman, with a personal axe to grind, started telling tall tales about Swisher's fake, secret Korean mission. By doing so, he gave authenticity to the fact by stating Swisher landed in North Korea by amphibious craft, which is a detail not known previously and was new information introduced exclusively by Judge Talman. Despite Judge Talman's knowledge that Swisher never set foot in Korea, he lied to enhance Swisher's credibility and the veracity of his story that he had killed many in combat, an essential piece of the government's theory of the case. Neither Judge Talman nor the prosecution informed the jury of the falsehoods before deliberations, despite the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court requires government lies to be revealed to the jury in order to prevent a fundamental miscarriage of justice. Because people can't be convicted based on lies in a free society, by vouching for Swisher as a Korean combat soldier, Judge Talman suborned Swisher's perjury, which itself is a crime. The Association of Korean War Veterans has already indicated its disgust of Swisher for his crimes and stolen valor, which cheapens the sacrifice of all veterans, especially those who gave their lives in conflict. Anyone who has ever sat on a jury knows it makes a huge difference if the government's witness is considered a pathological liar or a reliable truth teller. If the jury could not believe Swisher because his Korean secret mission was faked, how could they believe that David Hinkson solicited him to commit murder? But with the judge and prosecutor certifying that Swisher was authentic and no contrary evidence permitted, what else was the jury to believe? That's how David Hinkson was convicted, and that's how the government convicts so many other innocent people. They never get their day in court to tell their side of the story. The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlatte, Republican from Virginia, needs to know that all of us who love liberty will stand up and be counted because we still believe judges must have integrity. We who deplore the kind of false accusations made by Swisher, along with crimes committed by a federal judge and the Justice Department, must stand together, or the alternative is a police state. None of us has any hope of maintaining our liberty when there is no judicial accountability for misconduct. If not called to responsibility by the House Judiciary Committee, then who will hold Judge Talman accountable? Remember, Ninth Circuit judges are a part of a crony system, scratching each other's backs, and they cannot be expected to hold him accountable. A card, letter, fax, phone call, or email from each person who reads this article demanding an investigation into the illegal and unethical behavior of Judge Richard C. Talman for lying in open court and suborning perjury with an eye towards his impeachment is the only thing that will stop these evil practices, which have now reached epidemic proportions and are a fast-growing cancer in America. Are we not seeing a pattern here? I mean, Schaefer was accused of soliciting somebody to murder. This guy was accused of soliciting somebody to murder. The judge lies about it, and they have a witness that lies about it on the stand. It's just, Bill Fulton, Gerald J.R. Olson. Tell Congressman Goodlatte that you believe no judge should be allowed to lie and get away with it. Remind him that the Constitution requires him, as the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the U.S. House of Representatives, that it is his job to impeach federal judges like Richard C. Talman, who commit high crimes and misdemeanors. Contact Congressman Bob Goodlatte, Chairman, House Judiciary Committee, by calling, faxing, writing him at one of his offices to register your concern and ask him, what will it take for you, Congressman Goodlatte, to start an investigation? Goodlatte's main office is located in Washington, D.C., and may be contacted at 2309 Rayburn, HOB, Washington, D.C. 20515, phone number 202-225-5431, fax 202-225-9681, committee phone 202-255-3951. P.S. Remember, Congressman Goodlatte is not just a representative for the people of Virginia. Oh, no. He is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. That job is national in scope. So don't allow his staffers to tell you if you are not from Virginia, your input does not count. Excuse me. I thought I could make it to the end of the article. He represents the entire nation when he became the chairman of this extremely powerful and prestigious committee. Okay, that's veteran falsely convicted by a lying judge in the U.S. Observer. I make no claims of legitimacy regarding the U.S. Observer, but I do think this article is a good place to start to get to know the case of David Hinkson. Now we're going to read, I'm going to make another video, and we're going to read some emails from David Hinkson that just came in tonight on February the 11th, 2018. Thank you for your time.